So, to review, last time we went over the basics of my life coaching method. And I want to call it life coaching instead of self-help because self-help, there's a lot of baggage involved in the term. And I also feel like life coaching is more accurate to what it is that I want to do. This is definitely me offering you my perspective and guidance as opposed to me giving you the tools to succeed automatically. I don't want to overpromise that my word is going to allow you to instantly become an overnight success. So the basic tenets are a core, a meaningful purpose in life, which is what we'll be discussing today. And around that core, there are 6 elements: physical health, cognitive health, emotional health, financial health, social health, and environmental health. You take a sip of water before we continue. The voice, still kind of taxing. Still a little inconsistent. Okay. And then your process, those are the foundations, the core and the 6 elements. And then there is a process upon which you are improving. Yeah, I mean, I've been using this voice on Picarto as well. I just haven't been on Picarto in a while. I canceled my Picarto Premium. And yeah, I just kind of don't like the platform, really. That's a different subject. So there is a process with which we can look at our 6 elements and improve upon them. And those 3, it's a 3-step process of assessment, tracking, and habitual improvement. And habitual improvement means both improving your habits and making improvement itself a habit. So yeah, were any of you here for the previous stream when I talked about this stuff? Or is this all new? Okay, so if you want to just give you a summary, but if you want to go over what we talked about last time, you can either check out a VOD from Tuesday, or I will be releasing a YouTube video soon, so you can keep an eye out for that. My YouTube channel is, I guess just search Moxie Doxy for either. I'm going to be linking my YouTube channel to this account soon, but I haven't done it yet. So, today's discussion is going to be about the core. And I do hope that everyone in chat feel free to ask any questions while I explain things. And hopefully also when I ask you guys, people are paying attention, so I'm not just talking to myself. Thank you for being here. It's going to be about 30 to 45 minutes, just so you know in advance. Our little mini lecture here today. I'm going to try to keep it concise. So, first, what is your core? So, a lot of self-help, a lot of times people talk about what are your dreams or what are your goals? And I think that we've, in most of the good advice that I've seen, there is a good demarcation between dreams and goals. Like, dreams are kind of what you hope for, but goals are real, tangible, actionable things that you can work towards. And so we do like goals. But when I talk about the core, it's a little bit more fundamental and requires a little bit more self-examination to figure out. Because to me, what your core is your meaningful purpose. Okay? Meaningful purpose. Now, what do I mean by that? Everyone has a few different emotions that drive us. And these emotions sort of coalesce into the kind of like thrust and motivation engine inside of us. Some of us are fulfilled by different sorts of emotions. You know, some people find contentment in different things, and happiness, which many of us are pursuing, is not necessarily the same thing for everyone, right? And also, just saying looking for happiness kind of can send people on wild goose chases sometimes. Journeys of self-discovery that don't end up with any sort of meaningful fruition. So what we're looking for is meaningful purpose. For the way that I would define it is something for you that makes tomorrow worth waking up for, that you need to do. So to give you an example, the way that I would consider my meaningful purpose, and you can have different things that contribute to it. This is not a super concrete or super specific thing, but it does. It's more about you knowing yourself and being able to leverage that into action. So for me, I would say that ultimately my core is storytelling. Let's say it's storytelling. That took way too long for me to recall. Makes it sound like I was making it up on the spot. So for me, whether I'm drawing or making music or having a discussion with someone or getting involved in politics or making my video game, writing stories, all of it is about storytelling. For me, my purpose in life is to create and share emotional experiences with other people. Including this life coaching, I want to make it more of an emotional experience so that what I tell people has impact. And so when when all is said and done, people look back on Moxie Doxie and they will say, I'm glad there was a Moxie Doxie. And they remember Moxie Doxie because of the way that my stuff makes them feel. And early in my life, a lot of it was horniness. But I also like to share wholesomeness. And so this chapter of my life is going to be a lot more focused on that aspect. I'm not putting down the horniness, let's be clear. But I think the two can coexist. And I also want to tell other types of stories as well in the future. Triumphant stories, tragic stories, things like that. So, my purpose, what makes tomorrow worth waking up for me, whether it is becoming this avatar and weaving kayfabe over a long period of time inhabiting a character, or writing a little 4-panel porn comic strip, it's all the same for me. It's storytelling. And I get a lot of fulfillment out of sharing that with people. Does that make sense? And it can be one thing. It can be multiple things. Some people's purpose can be nurturing the people around them. Like, some people are just really excited about helping future generations, whether they're doing it as a parent or as a teacher or as a mentor or even as an employer. Some people are really good at teaching, and they look forward to investing time in other people and seeing how they turn out and taking fulfillment out of the success and the growth of the people around them. Some people are yeah, I definitely think that that's something that, like, a lot of people, it doesn't have to be unique, by the way. I just want to say that a lot of people can have the same purpose, and that's totally okay. There's 7 billion people on this planet, quickly approaching 8 billion. And there's only so many things to do in the span of a life. And we can sort of kind of definitely use other people as an example by examining other impactful people in terms of like what their purpose is. Some people are definitely like creators. Some people are definitely craftspeople. For me, storytelling kind of is that as well, because I need to make things. But some people have that for like literal things like chefs, sculptors, inventors, you know? They really like creating things out of nothing, and they are very, very fulfilled when they're in the zone just creating the thing, because they know that it's going to positively impact the world. Farmers can be the same way, you know? There's a lot of different purposes that you can have. So that leads us into the next thing. How does one find their purpose? Now, hopefully this advice is directed more towards, I would say, younger adults and older teenagers, people who are at, or really anyone at an inflection point in their mature life, I'd say. Like, this is not something that I would really try to tell like a 6-year-old about, you know? And at that age, I think it's more about gathering experience. But once you have experienced a few different things, I would say that you're ready to find your purpose. How to discover it, rather. Because I think everyone has their own preferences and proclivities, whether it's nature or nurture, or both. I think the science is pretty clear that it is definitely both, and in different aspects it's more of one than the other. But nurture is very big. Nature is also very big. If you're born with certain genetics and you're going to be 5'4", or let's say 150 centimeters tall, I have no idea if that math was correct. If you're confined to that, you're probably not going to play basketball. That's probably not going to be your purpose, you know? But the way that you find your purpose is to think back to moments in your life that you felt most fulfilled. And you can think back really far. For some people, they really figure out their purpose very early in their lives. And for some people, you have to like, let's say you haven't had as fortunate of a life and you have to really dig deep. But think back to moments in your life where you felt the most, I would say, fulfilled. Not necessarily happy, because sometimes you can feel really happy when you're like on cocaine. But I would say that snorting cocaine is not a good purpose in life. Let me take a sip of water. So, first of all, a few things to keep in mind when thinking about your purpose. One, it can't involve hurting other people. If you are a competitive person and your purpose is to compete and become the best at something, because we definitely have people in this world whose purpose is that, You have to make sure that you are competing in an arena where your victory doesn't mean the abject degradation of somebody else's material conditions to the point where it completely outweighs you winning. So if you're a hashtag winning, but that involves the exploitation of other people by being like a casino owner, then I would say fuck that. That's not a purpose. Get the fuck out of here. Now, on the other hand, if you are like an athlete and your purpose is to compete at the highest levels, then I would say that's a lot more admirable, because in that competition, yes, there are winners and losers. Yes, unfortunately, in this life, in athletics, a lot of times the winners get more money than the losers, sometimes to alarming degrees. However, the winning as an athlete does put you in a position where you can leverage that into creating a lot of good in the world. So I would say overall, if you're not hurting yourself and if you're not hurting other people, then any purpose is probably valid. Not everyone has to succeed financially. Not everyone has to succeed competitively. There are different ways to have a meaningful purpose in life on this planet. So, I want everyone in chat to think back onto various moments in your life where you felt the most emotionally fulfilled. I'll share with you my story, and you can leave yours in the chat, because it might take some typing time, but I want to hear from all of you. For me, I do have one. I have many examples of this, but probably the most clear story, and some yeah, take your time. I'll try to stretch this story out and buy you some time. So for me, an example of this, back in high school, I was in my jazz band, and I was one of the I would say more key players in my jazz band. And this was junior year of high school, 11th grade. I was 16, 17 years old. And every year we submitted ourselves to a national competition called Essentially Ellington, hosted by Lincoln Center, which, at least in America, is one of the top jazz institutions for performance and education. It is in New York, and it is it's Lincoln Center, so it's led by Wynton Marsalis, who is a top New Orleans jazz musician from a family of top New Orleans jazz musicians. It's a highly regarded institution of jazz. If you Google it, you'll see it. And the Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra tours, at least it did but you can buy their albums, and they've won Grammys, and it's overall just understand that it's pretty prestigious. And this competition is one of the more prestigious high school jazz competitions available. Because the finalists, 15 finalists, high schools, get to fly to New York and spend a few days not just performing for the competition, but also getting to get personal teaching from some of the top jazz educators in the country, and get judged more or less and critiqued by some of the biggest names in jazz, and also just hang out in New York City, eat good food, and just have like a good, one of those life experiences that is very important, very impactful in a developing person's life. So for me, when we made the finalists, it was kind of cool to me. But it really became clear that there were two things that I really enjoyed. Two things that made me feel emotionally fulfilled. One is the camaraderie that comes with the sharing of art. So here I was in a national competition, and there were schools from literally all over the country, different schools, full of different people from different backgrounds, all united by music, which is very cool. Music's power in uniting people was, and art in generally speaking, was made clear to me in that moment, and it instilled in me a sense that I wanted to, no matter what I did in life, if I was going to be a creative person, I would try to make sure that my art united people as opposed to divide. Which I think is very important in today's day and age. That's why, even though I am a very opinionated political person in my personal life, in moxie doxy stuff, no politics, no religion. I mean, obviously it's impossible to be apolitical but if I have politics, it is the politics of unity. And I always want to make sure that my art unites people because, there are rich kids, poor kids, black kids, white kids, Hispanic. There was a Sikh kid. There are for sure Middle Eastern kids. Just people from all over, different backgrounds, different religions, and they were all there to play jazz, and everyone had a pretty good time, I think. And another clear thing that I wanted to share with you, and the other part of that experience was I won a soloist award. So there were over 300 kids there, and they gave out about 20 to 30 soloist awards, and I actually managed to snag 2 of them. And that was because I played 2 different instruments. And what that taught me in that moment, yes, I did get a high from winning the award, but it also made it very clear to me that while I was there, all of the prestige that surrounded me, it did make it clear to me that in order for experiences like that to happen for other people, that I needed to be in a position of expertise and proficiency and with a platform, right? Because if I'm just some obscure artist making art just to satisfy myself, to jerk off to, sure, I could do that. I could just draw a bunch of boobs and then satisfy myself. But that's not, accomplishing the goal that I discovered earlier, which was unification, right? In order to unify people, I need to reach people. And in order to unify more people, I need to reach more people. So that taught me that excellence, proficiency, networking, all of these skills matter. So another purpose in my life would be to continuously and never stop honing these skills in order to reach as many people as possible. Okay? And so that's why storytelling is the main thing, because I like storytelling is more holistic, because I'm not just doing music, I'm not just doing art, I'm not just doing writing. I'm combining everything into an experience that hopefully we get some more Twitch followers, and then get a bigger platform and get to bring more people together, right? Those are the kind of streamers that I like. Those are the kind of storytellers that I like. So, I'm gonna start to go back in chat and read some of yours. 2 instances might sound childish, but anytime I play my favorite mobile game, Okay, so I'm gonna say that you're this gacha game stuff, this might just be a dopamine loop. And when we are thinking about our purposes, we do want to take pleasures out, I guess. Like, I would say take consumption out of the situation and think about production or improvement. Because I would say that all of us have to consume. All of us have to eat. All of us have to sleep. All of us have to drink. All of us have to expose ourselves to social situations. All of us have to take breaks and have escapes. So I would separate that from your purpose. Now this other part, the other more serious one is when I'm neck deep in my metaphysical studies and meditating on what I learn about. I've had people constantly tell me to write a book after I share little bits of what I know. Okay. So, philosophy? Question mark? Sky says, I've been to much of the United States for vacation with my family. Taught me about the world. It's always bigger. This is true. What makes me fulfilled is making others happy. Yeah. So, the way that I would center some of this is, if you are at your most fulfilled sharing information, then that is the purpose of teaching. And so, from now on, just identify your core as teaching other people. Sky, travel is kind of consumption. So think about something that you did, or something that you want to do because you learned that the world is always bigger. Let's get a little bit more specific. I want to hear, if you will, please tell me what other people's happiness looks like when you're imagining your actions making them happy. Is it by playing? Because there's a lot of different ways to make people happy. So I kind of want to figure out an example of this in your life, or examples, or when you imagine it in your head, what does it look like? I don't know if this really counts as a fulfilling experience. I guess creating good, crisp work, be it art or science, is something that really fills me with joy. Being part of a bigger whole, big whole, So, collaborative creation is definitely a purpose. You know, when I say storytelling, you can tell that it's pretty specific, right? I didn't just say artist. I said storyteller. So there is a certain specificity. And you also want to make sure that when you are thinking about these things, the reason why I talk about your emotional fulfillment is because we want to take all of the like surface level societal pressures out of it. Like, you know, get a good job, make money, raise a family, you know? all of that shit. We're not thinking about that. Collaborative creation or collaborative discovery is definitely a legitimate one because it is certainly different from the solitary style of creation. So yeah, collaborative creator is certainly a thing, or collaborative discovery. The fact that you like it to be nice and crisp, which is something that I can tell from your sketches, means that there might be a little bit more of it like a architect aesthetic to it, or of an architect archetype, so to speak. That's also a possibility, where you are concerned also about the design of the production. All of these things are just considerations. At the end of the day, you have to decide for yourself what your purpose is. But don't take this too seriously. This is mostly an exercise and a framework through which the rest of my coaching method works. One of the most important things to remember is that your core can change. Life changes. Sometimes, you start life off in your purpose that you feel in your heart is to, I'm going to use an example here, spread your religion. And then, due to various factors, you become an atheist. I do want to say that this is neither an endorsement or an indictment on religion or atheism. Just giving you an example. You know, sometimes your entire framing for life changes. There's a big life event that makes you have to think about things differently. And it may change your purpose. It may change your core. Maybe due to depression or, other unfortunate life events, you can't think about a core. You can't afford to think about your purpose because survival is your only purpose in the immediate term. Things change, so your purpose can change as well. It is important to revisit your purpose because sometimes you lose steam and you don't know why, and sometimes it's because you have changed as a person. You view the world differently, and therefore your core changes. Your core shifts or turns in on itself. It's hard to say, like when I'm supporting small content creators, question mark. Again, that is more consumption, I would say. Occasionally, yes. I mainly mean when I am being a friend to people. Someone that really cares about their well-being and success. Okay. I think that's a little more... That's a little more of what I'm talking about, but I would say, it would help to make it a little bit more specific, possibly, in the future. Something to think about in your self-examination. If you're going to, really hone in on what it is. Like I said earlier, meaningful purpose is something that makes you want to wake up tomorrow. Are you excited to get out of bed to be a friend to people? Yes? No? Maybe? Requires additional thought, perhaps? I would say that the more you think about it, and the more sure you can be of it, the better. If it's vague, it's okay if it's vague, but if you think about any sort of destination in life, the more specific it can be, or the more defined it is. It doesn't have to be like hyper specific, like I want to be an NBA champion. First of all, that happens to less than 0.00001% of the population. Second of all, might be a little bit too specific. And also, once you're done with that, you have no engine. So it has to be an engine that gets you waking up again and again every day. For me, storytelling, that's a never-ending pursuit. But it also involves a whole lot of sub-goals, such as creating an actual story, right? And for me, that's why I'm making a video game, nurturing an audience. And that's why I'm here on Twitch and on YouTube, trying to, cultivate a larger audience for the kinds of stories that I want to tell, which, in the past were about big girls. But moving forward in the future, I want to be able to cultivate a larger audience than just big girl fans. Not that there's anything wrong with big girl fans, obviously. But, I don't want that to only be my legacy, Because that feels a little restrictive. And again, I want to unify. So, lastly, I want to talk about why a core is so important. If you don't have a core, you can try to improve your life all you want. You can eat better. You can study more things in school. You can make more friends. But at the end of the day, if you don't have a core, then you may be performing well by the metrics of society, but what was it all for? And I know that seems a little heavy, but it's not just me saying that you should have a purpose, but studies have shown that even people who are considered to be successful, rich, famous, whatever, a lot of them are still incredibly sad. I have a lot of friends that make more money than me, and they seem way more stressed than me. And why is that? It's because there is either an either because they don't know what their purpose is, or there is a huge incongruity between all of the actions that they take in their life and their purpose, There's some people who are meant to be teachers who are stuck being garbage men. There's some people who are meant to be hosts and friends, and they're stuck being, financiers. Yeah, I mean, another thing to consider, there's a lot of things that you can enjoy, right? But this is why I want to talk about thinking back to a specific memory where you felt fulfilled. Because if you think about a specific memory where you felt the most fulfilled, deep memories are strong emotional experiences, right? Strong emotional experiences inform who we are today and can be the key to unlocking our core. If you have a bad memory, but you're okay examining it, bad memories can also be a core. Bad memories can also help inform your core, right? To give you an example from my own personal life, early on in life, I have a lot of bad memories of being bullied. Now, if you have really bad memory, then I don't know. Don't smoke so much weed. Think on it. Like, just take some time and think about it. Start thinking about what you can remember. Maybe ask the people in your life, when did I seem the happiest? Or when did I feel the most fulfilled? What did I get attracted to the most? So I was bullied for a variety of reasons, but the biggest thing that I was bullied for was fighting so hard against the bullying. There were a lot of things that went into my bullying. So one of the things was I moved a lot as a kid. So every year it was a different school, another challenge of difficulty fitting in. My parents were immigrants, and my mother was the one who dressed me. You know, when you're young, you don't buy your own clothes. At least I never did. Until I was like in high school. Then I was able to start making my own decisions. And even though they were the wrong decisions, I was confident in them. But early on, I was nearsighted. I wore big glasses. I had short shorts when short shorts were not cool. I had goofy clothes that didn't really fit me. I had a bad haircut. I was the smallest kid in the class. And I also had an identity as a gifted kid. So this is a greater problem in society where we stratify between gifted children and whatnot, but I definitely experienced gifted kid burnout later in life. That's a different subject. So for me, getting bullied really, really hard, no matter where I was, by basically everyone. It was guys and girls, right? And sometimes by teachers as well, which is fucking terrible, but a thing that happened. I had one high school teacher call me a parasite in front of the entire class multiple times. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Don't do that. If you're that kind of person, maybe you should reconsider your purpose in life, you goddamn fuckface. Anyways, because of that, I experienced a lot of emotional trauma, but it also made me a more empathetic person to other people's suffering. And that also helps inform my storytelling, right? Because I'm with storytelling, I can bring relief to people who are in pain, even if it's just for a little while, even if it's just as a temporary distraction, you know? There is the possibility that I can help somebody with emotional relief. Because for me, one of my escapes was stories, you know? I was bullied, so I escaped into my own worlds. Whether it was in my head, I got in trouble with a lot of teachers for like always drawing or writing stories in class because school was painful. And I just really wanted an escape. But I also, you know, discovered later on in life, it wasn't just, you know, it's not just bullied people who like stories. Everyone likes stories because everyone needs that. Everyone needs that emotional relief every once in a while. And that is one of those things that is endemic to human nature, and that's one of those things that unites us. And so that also helped inform my core. Make sense? So yeah, to wrap up, what the core is a meaningful purpose in life that makes you excited to wake up the next day because it is an engine that can thrust you forward. It can bring you through the bad days because if you are having a bad day, you can remember what it's all for. Whereas like if you don't have a core and you have a shitty job, it is so much more stress because you're wondering to yourself, what the fuck am I doing this for? And a lot of people are in that position, and I want to help people get out of that position. If you have a shitty job, think about what your purpose is, and then start making every single action, even if it is the act of saving money, make sure that every single action is helping you move towards your core. How do we find it? There are many ways, but it involves, it's something that you do have to do for yourself, but my advice is self-examination via emotional memory. Think back to when you were most fulfilled, or, you know, you can think back to when you were most in pain, because it is through the emotional side of things that a core is strong enough to sustain you, right? Because if you are like, oh, I like helping people, or I like being a good person. These are good things, obviously, but most people feel like that's part of their purpose in life, right? But what ends up happening is we're not able to do those things because there wasn't a strong emotional need, not a strong emotional drive behind those things to help propel you through all the bullshit. Whether that bullshit is mental health, or whether that bullshit is a shitty boss, or whether that bullshit is an unfortunate illness, right? Can you make it out of the other end of it with your core intact? And in order to have a strong core, I think there needs to be a strong emotional attachment to said core. You also want to make sure that your core doesn't hurt other people, and it isn't harmful to you either. Like maybe don't become a martyr for no fucking reason, okay? Just bears mentioning. Also, the core can change, and that's okay. So make sure you examine it every now and then. Yeah, of course. If you have any questions, you can always ask me in chat, or if you prefer more privacy, hit me up on Discord or Twitter, send me a DM, whatever. Yeah, and you also want to make sure that you are thinking of your core outside pressure or your own assumptions, okay? When you're examining your core, keep a very open mind that it could be something completely different than you could have considered before, okay? So why is the core important? It's important because without meaning, what is life? And I'll just leave it at that, okay? If you like this video and you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, comment with what you comment with either your core or with your version of your memory that left you feeling the most fulfilled. Okay? I don't know who the fuck Frankel is. Yeah. Ring that bell, etc., etc. If you want to see my other life coaching videos, make sure you subscribe. And I'll put the first one at the end of this video. If you want to see these videos live, you can follow me on twitch.tv/MoxieDoxie and join the discussion. It's a fun time, wouldn't you say, chat? Yes! Thank you for the follow, AB. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Please jerk responsibly.